This is Willie Scott. This is Indiana Jones, famous archaeologist.
Well, I thought archaeologists were always funny little men searching for their mummies.
Mummies.
Dr. Jones found Noachi for me, and he's going to deliver him now.
We interrupt this program to bring you a special report.
This is Cheapseat Reviews.
Hello, and thank you for listening to Cheapseat Reviews, the podcast that explores the Hollywood film industry for the greater good.
The greater good.
That's right.
Dr. Jones.
Yeah, I guess you probably can't really do the short round bit without coming across as incredibly insensitive. So
Yeah, I considered it for half a second, and then I thought, no, that's was pushing the envelope a little bit.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
This is episode 442. And tonight we're talking about, and you guys would laugh if you could see my notes, because I use one spreadsheet for my notes. I have notes for Leon the Professional, which we were supposed to do 2 weeks ago, the notes that I took for Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade, and now this. So tonight, if I read this, it says, tonight we're talking about Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, The Last Crusade, and Leon the Professional. But obviously, we're only going to do one of those.
We're just going to knock them both out tonight.
I mean, I guess we probably could. I have the notes for it, but I don't have any of the clips. So there's that. So we are doing Indiana Jones 2, The Temple of Doom, which is a prequel, which is weird. And I am Sean Ard, your host. Joining me tonight is Andrew. Talk about heartburn, Jimison.
Hey, what's up?
Just, sitting here watching my human sacrifices, eating my snakes inside of a snake.
Yeah.
And it's,
brains. Hey, you know what I noticed?
What's that?
For the first time watching this movie, because I've seen it like 6 jillion times. There's like the Indian version of Doc Brown in this movie.
Okay.
He just doesn't travel with them or drive a DeLorean, but he comes to the screen on the first, his first shot, and I'm like, hey, that's like his Indian cousin.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And making his return, no Sam tonight. He's on vacation. We won't have Sam for a long time. But making his return to the show, his summer sabbatical. Yeah. I mean, he's literally like vacationing for like 5 or 6 straight weeks. Is Erik. Also has to grab the boobs for his hidden man cave. I didn't word that very well. Has to grab the boobs for his hidden man cave. Woods. I guess that works.
Has to grab the boob?
Has to use the hidden man cave behind the boobs. Woods. I don't know. Something about boobs in the man cave. He has to grab the boobs and he pushed the statue and she's all like,
okay. I thought you were also talking about when he would reach down her dress for the antidote. Yeah. Hold on to your potatoes.
Yep. Hey, welcome back.
Thank you. I'm excited.
So we had you on last time. So we announced a while ago that we were going to be doing all 3 of the Indiana Jones movies in anticipation of the Dial of Destiny that comes out. I think by the time this episode will air, it'll be just in a couple days.
So when does Dial come out with that brand of Destiny?
I don't know. It would be good. They should market that. They really should.
I mean, just Harrison Ford washing himself with some Dial.
Yeah.
It sells itself.
It really does.
Washing the bad taste of Crystal Skull out of his mouth.
Hey, Indy, what are you using? Oh, it's Dial soap. It's the Dial of Destiny.
Dial.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. And we named the dog Indiana. So yeah, this is so Andrew, you said you've seen this like a gajillion times, and Erik, I know. So we established in Raiders that Raiders is your all-time favorite movie.
Yeah,
that's so right. So how many times have you seen this one?
A gajillion times.
Okay,
but I finally saw it on the big screen for the very first time in February.
Nice,
and that was quite an experience. To see it with an audience, I was kind of like, all right, how are they going to react to all of the things that I've read that people hate or whatnot. And let's see if and there was like a wide range of ages there, from kids to senior citizens, and they just had a blast, an absolute blast. And I have a better appreciation for Douglas Slocum's cinematography as well. And it's also interesting to see it on a big screen, because the effects themselves, the special effects, the visual effects, the flaws in those effects, which you can see perfectly on your digital copy of the movie, they're somewhat muted on the big screen. So again, having seen it a jillion times, I was really paying attention to see if those flaws were still there being projected on the big screen, and they weren't. And that was kind of interesting. But it was a great time to see it finally on the big screen, because my parents didn't let me go when it first came out, and I was really upset with them. And but yeah, finally remedied that.
Okay.
Let me ask this question: on the big screen, do the elephant tusks look bigger? Because
everything looks bigger.
Did you guys see the elephant? I mean, surely you saw it with the like mammoth tusks attached to its face.
Like, is this the Indies elephant, the one that
like
helped
when
break
they
his
get
back
to the
for real?
Yeah, when Doc Brown takes him to the to the village, and he's telling them about the stones, right?
Right.
And they get on the elephant, and the elephant he's riding has these just humongous, and I don't think they're real. I think they're like attached to the elephant.
I
to make
never
it look more
really
like an elephant.
I didn't notice. I'm gonna have to take a look at my my Indiana Jones Bible, see if there's any pictures.
I love that. Are you talking about the guy that's telling them the story? Like they sit down
shaman.
and the shaman.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's Doc Brown.
Okay, so I got some fun trivia about that guy.
Yeah, so do I. Let's see if you got the one I was thinking of.
So he can't speak English at all. He doesn't speak a word of English. So his lines are delivered phonetically by mimicking Steven Spielberg, who was prompting him off camera. The pauses in dialogue were therefore not for dramatic effect, but rather waiting for his next line.
Wow.
Oh my God, you're right about the tusks.
Yeah.
Oh, you found a
Big,
picture?
curvy tusks.
Oh yeah, look at that. I guess you have to
right
go to our
down here,
YouTube and
then-
watch it there.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, and I just don't know that they're real, because I don't think the Asian elephants have tusks like that. I always thought their tusks were smaller.
I have no idea.
know.
I don't know enough about elephant biology to
I'm
have.
not an elephantologist. I guess that would. Sorry. That's what happens when you cross the elephant with the rhino. It's an elephino.
There you go.
There you go.
Elephino. I like it.
Sorry, I tried to make that more, flowing nicer into our segueing into. But I'm having trouble with words now. Move on.
So you guys both have said you've seen this each a gajillion times. Probably all the way through from front to end. I've probably seen this movie 4 times, maybe 3, including yesterday. And it's just because it's not. Now, if you take all of the times, like all the times I turned on to TNT when I was in high school and it was on, bits and pieces there. I've probably seen it bits and pieces wise, maybe 8 or 9 more times. But usually it's always after he's already gotten to like the temple, right? It's always like once he's underground. It's never like the opening scene. So like I've probably only seen that opening scene maybe once or twice. Honestly, I don't remember. I don't remember hardly anything from it really. So it's just not my favorite indie movie. And actually, gosh, I hate to say it. I think I've seen Crystal Skull more times than I've seen Temple of Doom.
Oh,
I think I really have. Because Crystal Skull I saw in the theater, and then it was in the $5 bin, and I bought it, and then watched it again, hoping that it would be better from a home viewing experience. And then we watched it for the podcast. So I've seen it at least 3 or maybe 4 times. Anyway, my point is that this is an interesting movie, and Andrew's going to tell you exactly what it is, just in case you don't know what 1984's Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom is.
Well, it's an Indiana Jones film. Sorry, I forgot about this part. So give me a second here.
Yeah, it's fine. We can vamp here
half
for
the time. What happens is when you ask me to do the read, you never actually ask me to do it when we get to the show. So I just quit pulling it up. All right, here we go. In 1935, Indiana Jones is tasked by Indian villagers, with reclaiming a rock stolen from them by a secret cult beneath the catacombs of an ancient palace. Okay.
Sure.
There we go.
All right. So I'll be interested to see where we go with this, because again, Eric, I know that you're a huge fan of this movie, and I actually really can't wait to talk about The Last Crusade, because that's my favorite, and I can't wait to gush over that film. But we'll see where this goes. But we'll start off with our 5-word reviews. Andrew.
All right. Well, special effects haven't aged well, but still great. That's my review. It's not 5 words, but it's whatever. The opening number of this movie, the opening scene where we have the musical number, it makes it my least favorite Indiana Jones film of the original 3.
We just assume that Crystal Skull just doesn't exist.
Right. But that scene alone, and I'm a music fan, that's what I do. That's my life. But I just found it cheesy. And then, we go into the inner side of the club somehow, and there's this huge, studio in there where I don't know. It just felt to me like I was watching The Producers or something, which I would rather watch than this, but than that scene anyway.
Yeah.
But I still have a good time with this movie. It's very nostalgic for me because my dad and I would sit and watch these Indiana Jones films when I was probably my kid's age, which I don't know if that's too young to watch them, but I did anyway.
I watched this with my 10-year-old.
Yeah, it's about that age. But it was fun. I always wanted to be an adventurer because of these films. And this one especially, I liked because short round. There was somebody in my age that I was kind of seeing it through that perspective. And so, yeah, I just have a good time with it. I like it. It's not a perfect film, but it's not bad.
Okay. All right. What you got, Eric?
I have one, and it's George Lucas's best prequel ever.
Okay.
I would have to agree.
Yeah. Okay.
I like the idea of it being a prequel, and I understand the reasoning behind that. As much as everyone, I think, wanted to see Marion back, both Lucas and Spielberg, even Gloria Katz and William Hayek, the writers, felt that they've already explored that. So what they actually really wanted to do was make Indiana Jones like James Bond. So there's a new Bond girl for each of those films, and so now there's going to be a new Indy girl every time we see a new Indiana Jones adventure. But what I really like about this is that, again, with Willie, one of the most controversial characters in the film is, from almost everybody that I talk to, they just absolutely hate her because, the screaming and all that sort of stuff. But I find that she is refreshing. I think Kate Capshaw plays Willie perfectly. And she is the anti-Marion. And Marion is a very strong woman. She has her own business. She takes care of herself. She
can outdrink these Mongolians or wherever she is,
So she's, and that's what Marion is. And so Willie is, again, going back to those Saturday afternoon serials of Spielberg and Lucas's youth. She is the traditional damsel in distress.
Yeah.
And that's what I like about Willie. I also think that, Kate Capshaw plays her, it's the ditzy blonde and whatever. I have no issues with that. I think one of the one of the really neat little moments that she has that just kind of signifies her character is during that anything goes sequence, where she has to back up from the camera. She's making her way to the camera for her close-up singing anything goes, and then she has to work her way back up the stairs, and she has this little trip. She's trying to be elegant, but she trips up the stairs and kind of like, resets herself and then heads back off to the whole tap dance number. And that's Willie. And I really like that. And so as for the anything goes sequence, Spielberg always wanted to do a musical. And so this was George Lucas's opportunity to say, hey, Stephen, here you go. You've always wanted to do one. There you go. But I just think that the whole song just signifies exactly what this movie is. It's just anything and everything goes in this film, no matter how utterly ridiculous. And so to see, you're right, it's very jarring to see this in Indiana Jones film, but it then sets up that sequence inside the bar and also gets to another aspect of Indiana Jones's character as kind of that more James Bond persona that they wanted to explore in Raiders, but ditched, and then decided to bring it back for Temple of Doom. And that whole opening sequence, the dialogue is so quick. It's so good. It's so well shot. It's one of my favorite dialogue sequences of all time. And this film is actually one of those movies that I just constantly just quote all the time. And having seen it in the theater with my buddy, he told me afterwards, he goes, man, I know you really, really love this film because for about half of it, all you were doing was whispering under your voice, all of the lines. And I'm like, oh, dude, I'm so sorry. I hope it. He goes, loved it. I love seeing that sort of stuff. And so I had no idea that I was just whispering everything, every line. And so it's one of my most quoted movies, the one that I remember the most. But that whole opening sequence, just the way they shot it with the diamonds and the Nurhachi and the coins and the way it sets up the suspense, fantastic stuff. So, but yeah, I think what I think the best thing about it, this and Raiders, is that both of those films have a real edge to them. Last Crusade loses it a bit and Crystal Skull just stinks. But there's an edge to this movie. Spielberg and Lucas are still quite young and they're willing to kind of go in different directions and they don't really care what the audience thinks. We're just going to make a movie and we're going to make the movie the way we want it. And so this film, much like The Empire Strikes Back, very dark, but also Lucas is going through a divorce. Spielberg has just broken up with his girlfriend. They are in just not the right mind, but they are just making the darkest, craziest movie they can make. And that's what I think is great about the film and this and Raiders. Just there's a real gritty edge to it. And so there's so much more I like, but yeah, I think it's I love it. It's super underrated, I think.
Okay. Yeah, all right. I don't want to come across as being a dick, but I disagree with almost everything you said. But I also don't have the nostalgia of it that you do, right? Like you've been watching this movie for years and years and years and years. And like I watched it one time when I was a kid and I didn't like it. It was too dark for me. It was too scary. It was too gross. It was too whatever. It was too over the top, too unbelievable, which is still ridiculous to say it's unbelievable. But the last movie, there's ghosts and things that come out of a box and kill Nazis, right? That is as unbelievable as this movie. And then the next movie is equally as unbelievable, as that there's a knight that's 700 years old that's been hanging out in a room by himself reading, I guess, the Bible for the 5,000th time, and that the cup can bring back his father. And I have thought about this over the years, is why do we like Raiders and Last Crusade over the other two? And is it because they have to do with Christian artifacts and the other two things, Crystal Skull and this thing, don't? Is it because we can relate to them better? I don't know, but that's something that I've thought about for years. And You do think so, or you don't?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't even think Last Crusade. I mean, it's the MacGuffin has really no significance except when it comes to the end of the movie. It's really the father and son story of Last Crusade that makes it so great. I mean, Last Crusade's it is quite a retread of Raiders. It plays everything quite safe as well. But you were talking about, all these mystical elements. What I think the Indiana Jones films do so well, though, at least the first three, is they kind of ground them. They make them seem believable, even though they are unbelievable. Like, I get the idea that when you get into the Temple of Doom finally, and you see that human sacrifice and the guy's still alive after having his heart ripped out, you're like, oh my God, this black voodoo magic is real, and it's dangerous, and it's scary, and Indy is literally in hell, and how is he going to get out of this? And so it doesn't feel cheap. It feels like you can trust the audience to kind of believe that this can actually happen, and that's what happens in these other movies. You can believe that ghosts are flying around, or someone gets their heart ripped out, or there's a 700-year-old knight.
Sure.
Just because I think they're so written, the scripts are so well done, and yeah, like I said, they ground these mystical elements into some sort of reality where you as an audience member are like, oh, okay, I get it.
And I'm with you on that. I don't really disagree with that. My point was simply is that my experience is, because like you're like really one of the few people I've ever met that's like, I love Temple of Doom. Most people are like, it's fine. Like Andrew and I are saying, yeah, it's good. I'm glad it exists. I'm glad I've seen it, but it's there. So I've always just kind of thought, like, I wonder if it's because these other two things are Christian in nature, and it's because we grew up with that, right? If you're a Christian, well, I shouldn't say the majority of our listening audience is, because we have a large contingent in India right now. But I don't know. I've always wondered about that. So I didn't like the music video because it's a music video. She's singing to the camera, and that makes me uncomfortable when you're singing to the camera. I don't know why. It's like I feel like I'm imposed. Like, I don't know, like it feels creepy to me. It's just a me thing. I know not everybody's like that. I don't even like music videos, like regular music videos, when they sing into the camera. It's like, just back up a little bit. Get away from the lens. The camera guy doesn't need to hear you. You breathe your breath. But and again, I had forgotten about it. I just forgotten about that whole thing, that the whole music video exists in the first place. So that's obviously
seemed almost like a dream sequence to me.
Yeah,
it's possible. Yeah.
Well, and I will say this. I do like that it's like there's this big gong and it's dramatic, and then there's like this dragon and it's all smoky, and then out walks this beautiful blonde and she starts singing in Mandarin, I guess. And I really like that as an intro to the movie. It's like, oh, that's really different. But then it went too long. Is my problem. I think it went about 4 minutes too long. Like,
gotta roll the credits.
Yeah. I understand.
It did make for a really great Lego Indiana Jones video game, though.
That is such a great game. You're right.
I've not played those. I'll have to check those out.
It's wonderful. Yeah, wonderful.
I'll check that. I'll get my son to watch it.
You'll have fun with it.
So my son, we've now watched all three, right? Because I actually watched Last Crusade thinking we were going to do that this week because of the time constraints. And he is on my side. He likes Last Crusade the best. But you have to give, but the main reason is because my son is at this age. Well, maybe that's not an age. My son is super into history, and the fact that the Nazis were there, and India is punching Nazis and shooting Nazis like that. He's into that. So I mean, I know a bunch of Nazis die in the first one, but he really liked. He's like, wait a minute, is that actually Hitler? I'm like, well, it's an actor playing Hitler, but yeah, that's Hitler. He's like, oh, that's really cool.
And have you introduced him to the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles?
No, not yet.
Oh, if he loves history, he's gonna love those.
Yeah, I wanted him to see the films. I wanted him to see the movies first. So back to this one though. So some of the notes that I took here. Oh, I haven't done my 5 reviews. I have 3 of them. So lots of screams and bugs. And to your point, Eric, you said that that Willie, that Kate Capshaw would perfectly portrayed Willie.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're right. I think she does a good job at doing the thing she was asked to do.
She was tortured. She was essentially tortured. She didn't even read the script.
Yeah,
like she like because there was one. Sorry, I'm gonna just interrupt quickly. There was one sequence where, remember when she fell off the elephant? There's a whole sequence there where a boa constrictor comes out and kind of wraps herself around her, and then Indy has to tell her how to get the snake to relax, and she's supposed to rub the snake's head, and the snake then relaxes and goes off. But she refused to do it. She had a panic attack. She's like, I can't do this. And so Spielberg's like, okay, fine, we're going to cut that sequence. But he's like, well, you still have to do the bugs. And she's like, what are you talking about? The bugs? And she didn't realize that she had to go and do the bug pit, which I think, she was tortured, absolutely tortured in this movie, that poor girl. And she still went on to marry Spielberg anyway.
So the trivia for that is, for the bug chamber sequence, Kate was really covered with over 2,000 insects. She took sedatives prior to the scene to get over her initial fear and claimed they definitely worked. I guess she means the sedatives.
Oh yeah.
But, yeah, you'd have to. And that scene wrecked my son. Like, he could not handle it. I mean, he looked at me and said, Dad, I'm sorry, but you're dead. I mean, he could not, because he was sitting on the other couch, right? He's on the other side. He's watching the movie. And all of a sudden, when Indy lights that match and those things start crawling on him, he ran over and he is sitting in my lap. This is a 10-year-old kid. He is in my lap and he's like, those are so big. And it wasn't just the cockroaches. It was those weird looking, like almost
walking
praying mantis.
sticks.
Yeah, those like walking stick things, like, because they're just weird looking
on her hand, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And she's holding it for like 5 minutes, screaming at it. You know.
Yeah. Well, they had to do pickups because they wanted to do more with the centipedes.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, of course, they didn't bring back the actors, so there was all the dummies crawling up into the hair. And I mean, after you watch it a gajillion times, you can see all they're doing is just kind of like moving the dummy back and forth, right?
Yeah,
like this, and but it's still just. Ugh. It's icky, and that's why and the thing is, it's real bugs. That's why that works.
Mm-hmm.
And the ant sequence in Crystal Skull doesn't,
because they're CGI bugs.
CGI, who cares, right? You had real rats, you had real bugs, you have real snakes. That's why it works. That's why those sequences work.
Yeah,
and I think that's why it does kind of terrify. Because I remember watching it as a 10 or 11-year-old, thinking, "Oh man, I would bolt out of those places."
Yeah.
And on top of that, you have Indy in Short Round about to get crushed by spikes. I love the added danger. Again, just like Spielberg and Lucas just spitballing and throwing everything at the screen here for you. It's like, oh, bugs, not enough. Let's crush these two. I love that whole sequence.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's a great sequence. And one of my favorite moments is when we get to see the camera looking through the hole, and Harrison Ford delivers this line.
We are going to die.
And the facial expressions that he makes are just like he's overacting, and I love it. Like I absolutely love it, because that whole scene. So I do like the scene. Again, it's a great scene. It's because it works, right? You hear the crunch when they're walking. That's gross.
Yeah.
But yeah, my 10-year-old couldn't handle it, which was funny. And my wife, who is I mean, she is as close to arachnophobia, and she has that, right? I mean, we had a spider in the house the other day, and she didn't see it, and she picked up a blanket, and it was on the blanket she was holding. And of course, she drops the blanket and then runs into the other room, and then like I have to calm her down, or whatever. But anyway, bugs in this house. But it's like, man, I'm never gonna get my son to go outside and play now, especially since he's seen that. All right, my second 5-word review is open heart surgery without insurance. And then my last one is fun but over the top. And to your point, Eric, where they're talking about you just throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. They really do.
That last 30 minutes is unrelentless. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
That's why I think I love it. I just love the escape. I love the anyway.
Yeah. I'm going to cut through a couple of my notes here real quick. Indy taking her as a hostage seems kind of out of character. It just that, grabs her and sticks a pointy stick or whatever. It seems strange to me, but I don't. Again, maybe remember this is a prequel, so maybe he's still early in his career of doing archaeology thingies.
He knows he's in hostile territory, so he has to do whatever he can. I mean, and remember the night before, Lao She's gangster friend tried to take Nurhachi from him.
Yeah, and
so
he broke
he's
his
gonna
hand.
do anything and everything. And again, he thinks that Willie is Lao's girlfriend, and so, but he doesn't care.
Yeah, at first he kind of seems like he does, but then he doesn't.
Yeah.
So maybe that was just all part of the thing. Then the whole thing with the drink and the poison and the antidote. This scene also, I hate this scene because it's absolute chaos and it's basically a cartoon at this point. We've gone into, a man has been shot, another man has been, his hand's broken. We're threatening you with poison, and we're gonna do the bit where we're kicking the thing where we need the thing. It turned into an earnest movie, and I really didn't. Because for a couple of seconds it worked, but it felt like it went way too long, and. But then you get she puts the thing in her blouse, and so then we get to have the scene where Indy is like reaching into her chest to pull out the thing. So again, 80s little casual, inappropriate touching is fine. But then that leads me to the question of why even bring an anecdote if your plan is always just to kill Indy? If that was the plan, why even bring an anecdote other than to just mock him? Because once they got the thing, they didn't need Indy. It's not like they needed, we've poisoned you. Now give us the thing and we'll give you the anecdote. No, we have the thing.
They wanted the diamond back. He got Nurhachi. The payment was the diamond. Then they wanted the diamond back. You see the size of that thing?
Yeah, well, yeah, sure.
So that was the point of that. Give me the diamond, we'll give you the antidote, and you have 5 minutes or else you're done.
But then they didn't give it to him, right? Then it turned into that whole wacky to do, right? Because then he shoots his friend, and it all goes to hell. So it felt like it was
just
never
a bunch of backstabbing and games that are being played.
Watching it this time, I almost wondered if he really was poisoned.
It's a good question.
You could just tell him he's poisoned. He would never know.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he would eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah. The psychological part would just kick in.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Because then he just had the vial of Windex that he was like, hey, here's your antidote. And
I never thought of
that. He was actually poisoned.
Because
there's not a lot of payoff other than the fact that we get to see him, inappropriately grope a little bit. So I don't know. It's kind of cartoony. I'm with you. And going back to the bugs, if you're listening in Nevada right now, I imagine that's what it's like to be in your state.
With a lot of bugs in Nevada.
Yeah.
Did Sean freeze on us, by the way?
He did.
Oh, no. Oh, my God.
Well, this happened last week, too, I think.
Did it?
Yeah.
Yeah, his internet
last week or a week before last.
Been quite choppy. So I thought that was on my end. I was having some issues here, but
let's see what he says here. Excuse me. Well, I don't have a text from him. Maybe he doesn't know that we're not there. Surely he knows.
Yeah, because he'd be kicked out. Well, he wouldn't see us. Does he have to send another link?
Let me check Facebook here. No, I don't see another. He may have lost. Oh, yeah, he lost internet.
Oh my God. I'm sure he can get back in. All right. Well, that can give me a chance to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Hey, I'm back.
Okay.
Did Eric take a potty break?
Yeah.
So I lost internet. I'm using my phone as a hotspot right now.
Oh my God.
Oh,
Yeah. We've had storms here, so I'm not sure what's going on. But yeah, I'm using my phone as a hotspot right now. So we're gonna wrap. I'll kick through some of this last stuff, and then we'll wrap out of here. I guess I'll have to edit a whole bunch of video and edit audio at some point. Dan Aykroyd is in this movie.
Yeah.
That was a fun cameo I wasn't expecting. Also, how did Dan Aykroyd know to get 3 seats on the plane?
Because there was Indy, his buddy, and Shorty.
Oh, the buddy. I forgot about the guy
Yeah.
who. Okay, you're right. I'm with you. Okay. See, I'm glad. That's why you're here. See, I ask questions in my script I don't know the answers to, so that's why you're here to help me.
I got a question. Were we when the people are being lowered down into this pit after their heart has been ripped from them? Why is it spinning? It's just like Hell's Toilet. Like it's the lava is spinning in a circle.
There is a so if you look and see, there is a lava flow from where the people who are chanting to the kind of the ceremonial area.
Yeah.
There's a big lava flow. You don't get to see it clearly, but that's part of the special effects. And I think that maybe underneath it, it's kind of flowing around.
It's like one of those coin things you used to have in the mall.
Yeah, just for lava.
Okay. All right.
But it's a really cool effect. The guys at ILM loved working on that sequence.
I bet so, yeah.
Yeah.
So the scene where the plane, when the pilots jump out, which I feel bad for those pilots. Like, could you not have jumped out in a place less hospitable to yourselves than than the Himalayas, right? Anyway,
and they would have died.
Yeah, they probably died of exposure or something. Who knows?
Well, I mean, you can even see. I know it's dummies when they throw the raft out, but you can even see them like slam into the ground.
Yeah,
bottoms of those rafts are not really all that thick.
So that scene, this is literally when that scene's going on, and then they jump out in the raft, and then land, and then they go through all of the crap that they go through, right? Because it's like they slide down the thing, and then they get to the dirt, and then it's like, okay, we're safe. No, now we got to go to river. My son literally says, "I feel like this is a little much."
I don't know. It's not as bad as 3 waterfalls in
No,
in
again,
Crystal
you're
Skull, which are boring as all hell. At least there's something happening, right?
yeah.
And that's I think the gag of them thinking it's over and then falling over the cliff is just friggin' hilarious.
It is a funny gag. You're
Yeah.
not, you know, we survive a plane crash
Yeah.
to only have them. And it was funny because my son picked up on it, and I was wondering if he would. Some of the special effects, because again, George Lucas is involved, ILM is involved, so they're buddies with Star Wars. Like, so they're using some of the same special effects. So, like when the plane explodes, my son goes, "That's like the same explosion they use for a TIE fighter." I'm like, "Yeah, it probably is
possible."
And the same for the plane. Like when the engines are dying or something, it uses that very high pitched. Yeah, it's the Millennium Falcon warming up.
Yeah.
And or trying to when it's trying to go to light speed, and it's the same bit.
Yeah.
And so oh yeah, absolutely. And Andrew's heard it. I'm not going to play it, but like when we watched that zombie movie, that Zack Snyder zombie movie, and they 100% used a Star Wars effect in that movie. And I got so annoyed. Like, at least if George Lucas is involved, like, you're like, okay, I get it, right? Like when because George Lucas was an executive producer of Red Tails, which we watched for the podcast, and they use a lot of Star Wars explosions and things like that, and it's fine because George Lucas is involved. But Zack Snyder, you don't get to do that. That annoyed me. Anyway. I almost want to find it just so I can play it again. But
Army of the Dead, right?
Army of the Dead, yeah.
That's
I might look it up here while we're talking. Let's see. Seems like an awful lot of effort to kill a guy. The whole sacrifice scene. I mean, I know what they're doing, but it just there's a lot happening. But that's okay. And the last note that I took, and then I guess I just put my computer down and just decided to enjoy the movie, was, do you think Steven Spielberg kept that cage thing around for some kinky stuff?
Although there was some kinky stuff that did happen on set.
Uh-oh.
Barbra Streisand, Carrie Fisher, and Irvin Kershner showed up to whip Indiana Jones while he was tied up to the rock.
Really?
And I think what it was Carrie saying, like, this is for Star Wars, this is for this, and this is for that. There is a video. I'll show it to you guys after we're done here, but they actually shot it and you can see what happens. And it's quite a joke. But it was like legendary, and I had no idea that there was actually footage of it, and I actually saw it recently. Someone sent it to me. I'm like, oh my god, it actually did happen. But I think those were the 3 that showed up and started whipping him for whatever as a gag. So yeah,
that's funny.
Mm-hmm.
I did a search in my thing here for. I couldn't find anything for Army of the Dead. I couldn't find any of those clips.
Well, it's probably for the better.
Yeah, but when I typed in Star Wars, I have under the movie Hostage, weird Star Wars noise. What the hell is this? Oh, that's what it is.
That's the hyperdrive.
No, it's the noise when the not the
anytime they're working on a droid.
Well, no, it's for me. It sounds like when Luke is getting ready, when Han is getting ready.
Oh, the carbonite. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what that is.
It's like a compressor or
a compressor or something like Erik thing. Yeah. Okay. I can't find the other one, but that's fine. I'm not gonna worry about it too much. Anything else we want to say before we play the game?
Oh my god, there's like a million things I can say.
I know there is. That's
well, I mean, they kept
restricting you.
So Indiana Jones is named after a dog.
Yeah.
So Short Round. So
really?
Willie. So Short Round's named after the writer's dog, and Willie is named after Spielberg's dog. Huh. The original premise was supposed to be a haunted Scottish castle.
Ooh, I like that.
Then they decided, nope, we're going to make it the Temple of Doom. And I'm having a feeling that the Scottish castle thing is what's going to happen in Dial of Destiny at the beginning.
Mm.
They might have taken that idea. And the Indian government wouldn't let them shoot in India after they read the script. So they kind of they didn't want them to use the word Maharaja or voodoo. So one of the production managers, I said, well, we've got this great location in Sri Lanka where they had like everything within a couple of miles of each other. The bridge they had to build, which was amazing, and they shot that all in one take. And everybody, like I think George Lucas was behind one of the cameras. I think they had about 8 cameras shooting that thing. But they had the river, all the trekking stuff and all that sort of stuff. So they shot that all in Sri Lanka and said, "Screw you, India." And what's the other note that I had here?
Well, I did learn that Spielberg is hugely afraid of heights. So like
right.
he couldn't go across that bridge, whereas Harrison Ford's like do the whole time.
He ran it.
Yeah.
All the time. Just booking it.
Yeah.
One other thing, the Thuggee cult are in Gunga Din, 1939 movie, which is pretty much the inspiration for this one. So the Thuggees, the murderous cult.
Cool.
Who actually existed.
Ooh, that's fun.
Okay. And one other thing. Scenes that were dropped from Raiders that are in Temple, which is the Shanghai chase, the raft sequence, the mini tsunami, water, and the minecart chase. They were all supposed to be in Raiders.
Oh, interesting. Huh. I did like the minecart chase. I thought that for 1984, that looked really good and was really effective. And
that is 3 different locations. I mean, they actually built the minecart full scale. So those are actually, they were riding it. They also did stop motion, but they used a Nikon camera. I think it was Nikon. It's like one of the first times that someone had shot with like a very small camera and did frame by frame. And then there's stop motion in that as well. You see the dummies, especially there's a shot where the minecart tilts on its side and you see the silhouette of the 3 of them. That's just all dummies. I think that entire sequence is brilliantly edited. Absolutely brilliantly edited, and the sound is amazing too. And I mean, God, just from, and I will say this has the single greatest shot in any Indiana Jones movie, in any Indiana Jones film, and it's the moment after Willie says, "Hey, let's get out of here," and Ford turns around and says, "Right, all of us." And then the whole sequence begins with saving the children, but there's that shot with Indiana Jones kind of standing in the entryway. And they push a minecart right up towards him, and the light on the minecart slowly illuminates him. And it's that classic Spielberg push in, just to Indy's absolutely pissed off face. And of course, then you cut and you hear the psh, 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 and the guard comes flying out. But it's that shot, it's that slow shot of Indy. He's like, "I've had enough of this. We're all getting out of here." And I think that's one of the aspects that I really, really like about this movie. It's really the only one where Indy is a true hero, and he sacrifices fortune and glory for the children and saving the kids. When he heard those children screaming after grabbing the 3 stones, he was just about to leave. He wasn't leaving without the kids. That, for me as a dad, that hits hard now. And I think Indy doing anything for those children is that really makes him a true hero to me.
100% agree. I absolutely agree with that. That's a good call there. Okay, let's play. Oh, I got some clips. I have to play some clips before I do the thing. So you've already said the line, but I get to play it anyway.
Wow! Holy smoke! Crash landing!
Short round. Step on it.
Okie dokie, Dr. Jones. Hold on to your potatoes. Crying out loud, there's a kid driving the car.
Love it.
Yeah, I did too. And for me, like my first time seeing him was, of course, Goonies. That was my first
that's
time
interesting.
Seeing him. So for Slick Shoes.
Yeah.
All right. Here's a little bit of her screaming.
Hello? We're not thinking!
I hope that doesn't come across on the recording as awful as it did in my head.
No, it definitely did.
Okay, good. Here's a little bit more of her saying things, and the way. So I love this scene because it's just chaos going everywhere, and this is the scene where they're playing. They're making camp, and like every animal in the jungle ever is like harassing her, and they're leaving the two guys who are just playing poker, and they're accusing each other of cheating, and like Indy switches into, again, I'm not sure what he's speaking. I guess maybe Mandarin. I don't know, but they're yelling at each other. But before that part, it just his deadpan delivery just cracks me up.
Find your little bodyguard.
I didn't find him. I caught him.
What?
Shorty's family were killed when the Japanese bombed Shanghai. He's been living on the street since he was 4. I caught him trying to pick my pocket. Didn't I, short stuff?
The biggest trouble with her is the noise.
And
that sequence is what got Key the role. That's how he auditioned.
Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. I love the video, by the way, of Harrison Ford at like a rope line, and then he walks up behind him and like surprise, like as an adult now. Like this is after he's won his Oscar.
Red carpet somewhere.
Yeah, and like he comes up behind him and they just embrace and hug. It's like there's real affection there. I really think it's great. It's really super sweet.
Yeah.
So when I captured this, I fully intended to embarrass Andrew a little bit. So this is an audio recording that his wife sent to me. Apparently, this is what Andrew said on their honeymoon the first time they were gonna, consummate the marriage. Andrew said,
"Sneak surprise."
Yeah. little
I
strange.
didn't realize there were microphones in that room. Okay.
Yeah. I've already played this one, but I'm gonna play it again.
We are going to die.
That's right. I couldn't not get
Galima Shakti De.
So when I went to say goodnight to my son last night, I was Galima, and I was reaching for his chest. He was like, "Stop it!" And there's another cool piece of trivia about that actor. So he shaved his head for the role, and then that role made him pretty famous, especially in Indian films. And so he stayed with the shaved look to be a bad guy for films for the rest of his career.
Yeah.
So good for him.
Yeah. Question about him, real quick. In the scene where they're hanging from the bridge after Indy cut it, right? And the stones fall out of or burn out of the satchel, the man purse. He catches one and it burns his hand, right? And it causes him to drop it. How come when Indy grabs it originally, doesn't hurt his hand, and then when he catches it after the other guy has held it, it doesn't burn his hand? Is it like?
Well, because I think
he's impervious to being
because
burnt
the stone. I don't understand why they burn in the first place.
Yeah.
But I guess maybe it had to do with whatever Indiana Jones was chanting, and then of course the diamonds start to glow. But I mean, I don't know. Maybe if they're really together, they get super uber duper hot. But of course, like 2 have already fallen out, right? So maybe I don't know the explanation. What I want to know though is that since he burned his hand, is he no longer under the curse of the Thuggee? So did he fall to his death as a normal man? Because in order to stop the curse or stop whatever's happening, you have to be burned. Yeah. And that's another, there was this actual scene that was cut where one of the guards has his foot burnt by lava flow when Short Round's one of the slave children, and he sees and there's also the eyes were supposed to glow yellow. All of the Thuggees were supposed to have like kind of glowing eyes, and then when that happens, the glow disappears, and that's how Short Round figures out how to save Indiana Jones, but they cut it out. But I think it's in the novelization and it's in the comic book. I know that.
Okay. Last clip I have here. This is after Indy has saved Willie and she slaps him. But the sound effect that they use is just incredible.
Yep.
Willie, wake up! Willie, it's me. I'm back.
That is an open hand slap. That sound. I mean,
that's a Ben Burtt special.
Willie.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Just that's a slap. I mean, hit that side of beef. All right. All right, time for this.
And now for some more bad news. Ready?
All right, now we're going to play our game. This, of course, is our game that we call Hey, Did You Notice? This is where Andrew is going to ask us a handful of questions of things did we notice in the movie? And we'll go back and forth. If you get it right, you get a point. If you get it wrong, your opponent or the opponent gets to chance to steal. And we'll let the guest go first this time.
Oh, great.
Yeah. Well, Erik, I fully imagine that you're going to answer all these questions correctly. So
maybe not.
No. You've got this. So all these questions for this week are number based.
Oh, okay. Bummer. I was really hoping you were going to say, what was the name of the club? And I was going to say Club Obi-Wan.
Okay, well, actually, that was one of the questions.
You said they're all numbered.
You just use it. And I was going to say that Juan was, one. But it's okay. Geez. It's okay.
Do I get credit for that one? Do I get a win point?
Sure, we'll give you credit for that one. All right, so I want to ask that question. I'll move on to question number 2.
I'm sorry, everyone.
See, no, actually, that was going to be the last question, but that's okay.
Clearly, we don't ahead of time.
That's okay. All right, so Erik, here's your question. In the club at the beginning, Club Obi-Wan, by the way, at the beginning, when the diamond is dropped on the floor, how many times is it kicked?
Oh my God!
The ice bucket lands, and it's mixed in with the ice.
I'm going to say 6.
Sean?
I'm going to say it's got to be a ridiculous number. It's like 15.
It is 5.
Really? Only 5?
Only 5. Yeah. Well,
that
like
we
see.
more. Well, I guess if you count, also the vial gets kicked around. So I guess
yes, that's true.
Yeah, I didn't count the vial, just the diamond.
Sure.
So as they leave
vial
the club,
of destiny.
Here's your question, Sean. As they leave the club and they are headed to the plane, what is the hangar number where the plane is parked?
Oh,
wow.
Yeah, this is what he does. 113.
Erik?
That's a good guess. 38.
Hangar number 3.
3. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
We both had 3 in our answer.
Wow.
All right, Erik, this is your question. How many eyeballs were in Willie's soup?
3.
Sean?
4?
It is 4. Yes.
Wow, it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they all float up and then it cuts away.
I would have said 3 had I gone first. I would have said 3. So
if you watch it, she has to dig really hard because they're all stuck on the bottom, and so that's how she was supposed to get them out, and they all are. That's actually a pretty good gag.
And again, that grossed out my kid.
Oh,
honestly, the part that I thought was gonna gross him out, the monkey brains, he didn't care about. No. He was like, "Well, you don't say anything."
Yeah. I think the live eels were nasty.
Oh,
nasty.
Yeah,
especially when that guy's putting them in his mouth.
Yeah. Where like I look like when the one gets flicked and it makes like this horrific sound, this sound, but it's great.
All right, Sean, here's the last question. How many soldiers are on the rope bridge with Indy before he cuts the bridge?
I do know that they're all dummies that have like battery operated arms and legs so that they would wiggle when they fall. I know that. Mm-hmm. I'm going to say 8, 4 on each side.
I was going to say 8 as well.
Well, don't say 8, Erik, because Sean's already said that, and that's not right.
7?
It is 9.
Oh, it's
You
9.
should have gone the other way.
Yeah, 4 on one side, 5 on the other.
Huh.
So there you go. There's
Wow.
our game.
That was
That's
fun.
great.
And as a trick question, the club is named Obi-Wan, but W-A-N, not O-N-E. There you go. There's
That's
your
a good
number
game.
questions. Yeah.
And Pat Roach, of course, is the guard. And
yeah,
he was the same guy who played 2 roles in Raiders.
He was the big guy. What got ate up by the helicopter?
Yeah,
airplane.
he's one of the Sherpas in the Raven bar fight.
I think I know why I like the other 2 more than this one, and it has to do with the other characters in the movies, besides Indiana Jones. I don't know. I just don't like. Thinking about this one. I Willie, the actress does a fine job, but the character, it's just kind of, I don't know, doesn't do it for me. I think that's.
I also think it's so contained, right? In only 3 locations.
Yeah.
Where the other ones are globetrotting adventures, with the exception again of Crystal Skull. Doesn't really. They go to Peru or wherever, and that's it. It's kind of like in the United States, and that's it. And the globetrotting aspect of Last Crusade and Raiders, I like, and I hope that's what they're doing in Dial of Destiny.
I hope so.
Yeah, more travel by map. Definitely.
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. More map music.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I did like that John Williams in this. He creates we still have the Indiana Jones theme, and then we have the Temple of Doom theme, which is like that march. Ba-da-dum, bum, bum, ba-da-dum, ba-da-da-da-dum.
The Slave Children. Yep.
Yeah, which is very, very close to his Olympic fanfare a little bit there. But anyway,
the same year. Yep.
Oh, it was okay. Well, he was in a mood. So I do like how he modifies it, right? So like when we meet Short Round for a little bit, there's like an Asian feel, and then when we're like in the temple, there's a little bit of like a sitar Indian kind of feel. Like he changes the instrumentation based on the locale, which I thought was really cool. But it's still the same theme. We get not very brassy all of the time. I kind of enjoyed that. But anyway, John Williams did the music, and of course it's great. It's really great. But I'll say this to your point, Andrew. Also, why I like Last Crusade, because Last Crusade is funnier in my opinion. In this movie, most of the gags are at the expense of Willie, whereas in
Short Round,
a little bit Short Round, but he's making some of the jokes too. Like when he's yelling at Indiana Jones, like, "You make me poor. I don't want to play with you." There's some fun bits there. Whereas like in Last Crusade, he throws a Nazi out the window of the blimp, and then he looks around, and everybody's like freaked out, like why he just punched this guy, and he goes, "No
Get
ticket.
off my blimp."
Yeah, yeah.
Get off my blimp.
But then he says no ticket, right? And then everyone like pulls out their ticket. Oh, I got my ticket. And the funny thing is like when I watched it again, and I'll mention this if we do this movie. But my son, he knew that was going to happen. He knew that bit. Like as soon as he's walking around and he saw Indiana Jones walk out, he goes, he's going to ask for his ticket and he's going to throw him out because he's not going to have a ticket. And then the instant we met Elsa Schneider, he goes, she says, "Dr. Jones," and they turn around. Declan goes, "She's a bad guy." I'm like, what? I mean, she was on camera. I mean, it might not have been the instant. It might have been about a minute and a half of film time. He's like, she's going to be a bad guy. She's working for the Nazis. I'm like, are you sure? He goes, "Oh yeah, she's a Nazi. You can tell." Okay. Glad you could tell.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's it. Time for this.
Wait, what's supposed to happen?
This is where we give the movie a score from 0 to 10. 0 to 10. This is going to be interesting because I got a feeling we're going to be kind of far apart on this one. We'll find out. Let's see. Andrew, what you got?
Well, IMDb score is a 7.5 out of 10. I'm going to have to go a little higher if for nothing else, for nostalgia. But it's just a good film. Like I still have fun with it, even though it is the darker one. I love Short Round. I love the antics that they get in, the two of them. And I love the danger about this one. But I do like the others better. So I'm going to put this one at about let me just go a 7.9 out of 10.
All right. That's pretty good. What you got, Eric?
If Raiders is a perfect film, in my humble opinion, then all the other ones have to be lesser than. But I love this movie, and it's my second favorite Indiana Jones film. And much like Raiders, I could watch this at any given moment in any language at any time. So Raiders is 10 out of 10. I'll give this one a 9 out of 10. Okay. I'd love to give it a 10, but nothing is good as Raiders.
I got you. Okay. I don't like it as much as either one of you, and I think that's pretty evident as from our conversation. I don't hate it. I don't dislike it. I just don't love it. It's fine, in my opinion. And the fact that I've only watched it 3, maybe 4 times is, again, evidence of that. I'll go rewatch Last Crusade, tonight, because I don't know if I told the listening audience I'm moving again. This will be the 6th time I have moved since starting the podcast.
Oh my God!
Yeah. Right. It's that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This will be my 5th time I've moved since starting the podcast.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Wow. So, so next week there probably won't be a show next week because I don't know where I'll be, where I could record from. With that having been,
he's actually in witness protection.
No. It's all been job related. It's all job related.
Wow.
It's just the way it is. So, I between me and my wife, this time it's my wife's fault. The other times are my fault. Anyway, where was I going with that? I was saying that for a reason, but I don't remember what the reason was. Anyway, I'm going to give this movie, I don't know, it's 6.5. It's fine. Well, my point was this. Where I was going with it is that literally when we hang up from this call, I have to break everything down and put it in a box or put it somewhere so we can, I have to take the desk apart tomorrow and all that stuff. So I would rather watch Last Crusade while I'm doing that work than this movie. Is I think the point that I was trying to make badly. Anyway, but that's still, it still gives it a 7. I can't give it a 6.5. That's too round of a number. How about 6.6? What does that do for us? Yeah, let's give it a 7.83 repeating. That's a pretty good number. So that's that's all right. That's in the realm with movies like 7 Star Trek Beyond. And
oh my God,
The Menu.
That's insulting.
Well,
I did like The Menu.
Yeah,
it's pretty good.
And The Accountant. These are all kind of 7.8-ish kind of movies. So, I don't know what's.
I lowball things.
I don't know what Sam would have said on this one. It'd be interesting to hear his opinion.
I think he would have said 10.
I don't think he would have. The only time I've every movie he's ever given a 10 to was Jurassic Park. So
just write down 10.
I'll ask him tomorrow.
And it gets it out of that Star Trek Beyond territory.
I like Star Trek Beyond. It's my favorite of the JJ films, which is not a JJ film, but the Kelvin universe. It's the Fast and Furious of Star Trek.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Which is the director of Fast and Furious is why
right.
Yeah.
That way that joke works. Anyway, that's it. That is our show. Thank you so much for listening. Eric, please tell our listeners where they can find you and your work and the 25 years of podcasts you've been doing.
26. Well, we won't.
Who's counting, right?
Yeah, not anymore. Cinematicsound.net. I've got an announcement coming up later on, maybe the next couple of months. We're expanding our reach, which is going to be interesting. So yeah, that'll come soon. And but yeah, we're doing still a lot of shows, and I'm kind of like slowing down a bit during the summer just to kind of take a break. But there's a lot of exciting things that are going to be happening, so I'm really looking forward to getting into those things. So, but
Very
if you like
cool.
film music, soundtracks, video game music, TV music, then head over to cinematicsound.net.
Do that very thing. And while you're doing that, also go to our website, cheapseatreviews.libsyn.com. There you'll find links to all our socials, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Join our Discord, and you can chat with us there as well. Like I said, no show next week. And I don't know what we're going to do when we come back from my little moving break. I don't have a movie on schedule. So maybe it'll be Last Crusade if I can get Erik to come back in a few weeks. Who knows? If we want to do that. So it would be fun to kind of just do back-to-back Indiana Jones movies as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But anyway, thank you so much for listening. That's our show. And I'll simply say, on behalf of Erik and Sam and Andrew, this is Sean saying thank you all so much for listening. We'll see you next time. I guess next week, but next time.